What's good, Parlay fam? Welcome back. It's your boy ParlayPridge here. Today we got something special for you. It's the first installment of the Slate Series. That's right. Now, every single day, I'm going to be going down the slate, picking out my favorite games, show you guys how I research, and let you a little bit on the inside track on the winning side. So today, my favorite plays of the day. Haven't really researched too much, but the games that I like the most are Atlanta and Boston. Um, Kind of on the fence about Chicago and Tampa Bay. Um, then let's go down to Miami and the Mets. I like that game. And then also Philly Boston. That should be a good one. Anytime the Phillies are playing, I like to look in on those guys. I know Pittsburgh St. Louis is going to be a good one. New York Kansas City also could be a good one. And that looks about it for today. Pretty much every single baseball team is playing today, which is different because last few days we have only had maybe half of the teams play, so kind of smaller slates. I do like a larger slate. It's more room for money to be made. Vegas can't hone in on one area. More mistakes are made. So let's go ahead and start. Atlanta, Baltimore. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna think Baltimore in the series opener, only because the Braves are without what's his name? I forgot his name. Yeah, Ronald Acuna. He's gone. So I mean, I'm sure they're at this point have adjusted to him not being there. But at the same time, when you're going up against a very stout Baltimore offense, as you can see, they pretty much own every category as far as records, win loss, and almost every margin you can think of. They're leading Atlanta. And you wouldn't think that because Atlanta's thought of as the more dominant team. So we got Max Fried at on the road. He's got a 6-2 record, a 2.93 ERA, and let's see what his home and away stats are. So on the road, he is 4-1 with a 2.63 ERA, and then he is a left-handed pitcher. And let's see, oh look at that, Baltimore kills lefties. So you're kind of just following this line. He's a little bit better on the road. A little bit better at home than he is on the road. And Baltimore loves left-handed pitching. Let's see. On the mound for Baltimore, we have Albert Suarez. He's boasting a 2.4 ERA at home, so he's much better on the road, even though he's not bad at home either. He's a righty, and Atlanta's not too great against righties. I do believe this line is set this way because Baltimore just played yesterday, and I believe Atlanta was off. Let me make sure. Yeah, Atlanta had the day off yesterday, and Baltimore was playing. And then also, Max Fried, I guess it's Fried. Max Fried, he is the Braves ace, and the books like to juice the line when the ace is in play. I think Baltimore's going to win this game easily. Let's see. Over the last three, he's given up 3 runs over 24 innings, which is astounding. Albert Suarez has given up 3 runs over 14 innings, which isn't great. But this is a situation where the Braves swing and miss a lot, and they swing at everything. They're like the Padres to me. There's no consequence in swinging first pitch. They don't really care. But the Baltimore Orioles, they're a little bit more pragmatic in their approach, and they do like lefties. If I had to pick a side that I was going to trust, I would pick the Oilers off rip. Just because, like I said, they are more trustworthy at the plate, and I think they do have a more favorable pitching matchup. So what I'm gonna go do next is look over here and see what the public is doing and see where the sharp money is. So we have 37% of the bets came in on Baltimore money line, but 50% of the money is on Baltimore. So a third of the bets were placed. Um, One third of the bets placed on Baltimore. 2/3 of the bets placed on Atlanta, but the money is even. For me, that's sharp right here. We see that sharp play. Uh, uh, Honestly, there's no reason to back Atlanta other than Free being on the mound because Baltimore, from every measurable and every statistic, they have the batting advantage, the pitching advantage, even in the bullpen, they have a better bullpen with a 3.15 ERA, and Atlanta's at 3.7. Um, so, me personally, I would back the Oilers at home. I know they just got off a road trip, but they swept the Rays very easily. I think their bullpen was saved a lot by Corbin Burns last night. And if they do need to hit their bullpen because Albert Suarez doesn't really go into games, it doesn't go deep into games normally, I do believe that their bullpen can come in, kind of shut things down. And like I said, Atlanta swings and misses a lot. So if I had to bet the game, I would bet Baltimore and um, I think that's the best play because as you see, the sharps. This means more money per ticket, basically. Like so, a lot less tickets, but the same amount of money means that the smaller guys, the more casual bettors are taking Atlanta on the road at the minus 130 because of who's on the mound. And that makes a lot of sense. But Albert Suarez is really good too. And the Oilers have a good bullpen. And also, like I said, Atlanta likes to swing a lot. And if you can, get them out in front and get them chasing fastball, throw some off speed stuff in there, you can definitely get a lot of swing and misses. So for my play, I would be picking Baltimore for that game. And my second game that I want to go over is the Cubs and the Rays. Now, just off the top of my head, I would say the Rays because I would back Zach Eflin over Tyon. I think he's just a little bit more consistent. I think this is his fourth start back from the IL. As we can see, Tyon is a little erratic. Um, but also, Tampa struggles to score runs, and that's kind of concerning. But because they got swept, I mean, they just got swept by the Orioles. I would imagine that they would come out hot on a struggling picture. But I mean, even with the win last time, Tyon went 5 innings, 5 runs. That's not good. Over his last 16 innings, he's given up 13 runs, which is not good at all. If I had to back a pitcher in this game, I would definitely pick Eflin. Uh, as far as trustworthiness, but at the same time, like I said, Tampa Bay they don't score runs at a high clip, and which kind of plays into their favor today because uh, the Chicago Cubs are a mediocre hitting team as well. So I don't think they were going to be too in over their heads. They just lost 3 out of 4 to the Reds. Tampa Bay got swept. I do believe they're going to come out firing in this game. The problem with Tampa Bay is they don't hit well against righties, and the Cubs like right-handed pitching, so they do have an advantage there. Let's see here. Um, yeah, I mean, it would just be hard to back either one of these teams, but I like the pitching matchup, and that's why I picked this game is because I like Eflin a lot. He's since his time in the Phillies, he's been one of the most consistent pitchers, and I don't think a lot of people know that about him. At home, he's 2-1 with a 2.8 ERA, which is really nice. And Tyon on the road, he's 0-1 with a 3.5 ERA. So, um, just based off law of averages, and then also the the fact that they got swept, they lost four in a row, fairly easy to the Oilers. They're going up against a lesser talented team in Chicago, a team that might not jump out on them as quickly. Um, as far as like hitting, because that's what the Oilers did. They just every game they were ahead first, up too early, hitting home runs. So I don't think they'll have as much of a problem with that because Tampa Bay is not a team that can play well from behind. They don't have a lot of power. Let's see what the money's looking like. So for Tampa, all the money's coming in. All the bets, all the money's coming out in Tampa. I feel like people are thinking what I'm thinking too. That after Tampa got swept at home by the Oilers, that they're going to come back around and understand that, hey, that's not cool. We're in front of our home fans. We just got swept. We're not going to lose five in a row. You know, the Cubs are coming into the town. Like it would be hard pressed for me to see that Tampa loses today, but at minus 140 money line. Probably going to stay away just because, like I said, I'm afraid of Tampa and their ability to score runs consistently. But on Tyon, I think they might be able to get to him. Let's see here. Um, the next game that I like a lot is Miami and New York, meaning the Marlins and the Mets. Now, the reason I like this game is because the Mets just had a resurgence after a team only meeting or a players only meeting after I forgot who it was. One of the relief pitchers. I don't want to say his name correctly, but he went off and then got mad and apparently in the moment said that he's been the worst teammate ever, but was quoted as that he's been on the worst team ever. So that's never good. So he's been fired, and I think the players kind of galvanized around that, and they've won. Let's see how many games. Yeah, they've won since that time. One, two, three, four, five, six. They've won 4 out of 6. Um, that's impressive for a team that was struggling heavily. As we see here, Taylor McGill. If you're just looking at their list of starters, I mean, he's probably one of the most impressive starters that they have. Jose Quintanas. He's a veteran, but his best days are way behind him. Sean Manaea, same with him. His best days are way behind. Luis Severino, maybe, but he is a guy who is a little inconsistent and erratic sometimes. But I do think that Tyler McGill, let's see, they skipped his last start, so it's David Peterson start. So I do think that he's pretty consistent as far as being able to start games and go deep into games. You see here he's pitched into the fifth, the seventh, and the fifth his last 3 games, and giving up a total of 6 runs over that time, which is not bad at all. 17 innings, 6 runs is not bad at all. The issue I think that the Mets will may run into is that again they're not great at scoring runs, but I think that Luzardo's Erraticus and his ability to throw meatballs consistently will change that. We saw him dust Milwaukee, which was an anomaly, and then lost 4-0 to San Diego, and then got blown out by Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay is a team that doesn't hit the ball very well, so um, as you can see, there's room to be had. He's a lefty, and the Mets are better against lefties, but as they are against righties. But either way, they're not a great team hitting. They're on the year, their average is 242. They've hit 69 home runs, and they get on base 30% of the time. The slugging is approaching 400, which is nice. So you just want to believe that those guys in the lineup, like Pete Alonso and Francisco Lindor, are going to be able to barrel up Luzardo and McGill. He's a guy that, like I said, he's consistent enough that he could probably go into maybe the sixth or seventh inning, limit them to 1 or 2 runs, and then hopefully the Mets can hop all over Luzardo because he's not consistent and he has a very terrible ERA on the road. 6.57, I believe. No, 6.48. Let's look at the money with that one. So right here we're looking at Miami, New York. All the money again is on New York, which I agree with. But even more so that how bad this is. So percent bet. So this is the number of bets placed, and it's 13% on Miami, but only 2% of the total money is on Miami, which is insane. Like, so that means that you were able to garner almost 15% of the bets total, and that still only equated to 2% of the money. That means sharp and public is all over Miami today, and that's kind of worrisome because Vegas. You don't want to say. I mean, honestly, a lot of people do say sports are rigged. I do feel that way sometimes as well, but I think that on a random Tuesday in the summer, that it would be hard to convince a baseball team to just throw a game because all of the money is on them. You know what I mean? Like it would be hard pressed. I just don't feel like not every game is touched, but at the same time the public does lose. So yeah, but the logical, if you're going to back the game, would be Mets money line. Like with Luzardo so bad, you might even want to take the spread, maybe, possibly. But me personally, I would just take Mets money line. All right. Now, I think we have only 2 or 3 more games. Um, now, my absolute favorite play of the day, which I think is going to smack, is Pittsburgh and St. Louis. We're going to go back and touch Philly and Boston. But I wanted to come here and see this game because I really like this game. So I've made a lot of money fading Miles Malokas. Now he's not a bad pitcher. He can go deep into games, but he doesn't get run support. He rarely gets run support, and that's a shame because he is a decent pitcher. He's been pitching well lately. I think that Paul Skeens is probably one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Even though he's a rookie, he commands the game, right? He pitches consistently in the fifth and sixth inning. He has a fastball that's over 100 miles an hour consistently. He overpowers hitters, and the St. Louis lineup itself isn't great. They're batting at 235, um, hitting 61 home runs, getting on base right at uh, 30%, and slugging at 370. So they're not fantastic. Like they're not overwhelmingly good as far as an offensive baseball team, but they do nickel and dime you. But I think Paul Skeens can overpower you so much that you won't really be able to um, do what you can against him. Like his fastball, instead of You might be able to get a ground ball or foul it off, deep into a net bat. He's probably going to throw it by you. And that's the difference between him and a lot of other pitchers, that he can get those strikeouts and get guys off the base, get out of jams if he is in a jam. And that's why I do like Paul Skeens. Malokas, he does not have overpowering stuff. Um, he, I think his fastball maybe average at like 93, 94. He has a 5.8 ERA at home, which is bad because if you have a 5.3 ERA overall and your home ERA is 5.8, that means you're much better on the road than you are at home. And I think that's going to play into the hands of Pittsburgh. I think there's two plays here. I think Pittsburgh plus, I'm sorry, Pittsburgh first 5 inning money line is in play, heavily in play because of Paulie Skeens. And then also, I do believe that Pittsburgh will do enough to win the game on the money line. The issue is their bullpen, to me, is really bad. I know a lot of people don't feel this way, but I think their closer Bednar is horrible. I've seen him blow a lot of games. Like, I mean, you're up like three or four runs, and you give up five in the last inning. Like, it's been like I've seen some stuff like that from him. Um, their ERA is right at a team ERA of 4. I think these teams are closely matched on the offensive side, but the difference is in the starting pitching matchup. And I think Paulie Skeens is a dominant pitcher, and then tonight he'll be able to dominate a team that's struggling at the moment. Um, they just barely barely were able to take two from Colorado at home. So, Pittsburgh has been playing really well lately. They took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, 2 out of 3 from Minnesota. I think they'll go in there tonight with their ace on the mound with confidence and get a win, especially with the first 5. Let's look at the money. Mm. Well, this is quite astounding. So we have 70% of the bets came in on Pittsburgh. 30% of the bets came in on St. Louis, but only 7% of the money. That's crazy. That's casual. That's very casual. Um, I don't know. I guess that's a casual fan taking up St. Louis at home, because why else would you? Why would there be so many tickets if I feel like if St. Louis had more sharp money on them, their percentage of bets placed would be still at 30%, but their percentage of money placed on them would be closer to about 20 to 25%. To see it under 10% at 31% of the bets placed is crazy, and that's why the sharp meter is at 25% in Pittsburgh. And I would take Pittsburgh minus 130 on the money line. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this is you're putting your money where kind of like a stock where you feel like you'll get the best return, that it will be the easiest return. And I do think that Pittsburgh tonight would be an easy money line favorite to win. Um, and I think this the percentage of only 70% of the bets placed equating to 30%. I'm sorry, 93%, which is almost 100% of the money being placed on them is wild. Um, so that means that people are not betting a lot of money on St. Louis, maybe $5 and $6 bets, but they're not. And what you have the sharp and the public betting on Pittsburgh again, same way like you had sharp and um, public money betting on uh, Baltimore and as well as New York. So Going down the list, we got Philly, Boston next. Um, Philly is the most profitable team in Major League Baseball. You will win your money more times than not when betting on Philadelphia. Now today they're going up against Cutter Crawford, who he's hit or miss, but at the same time he's not very good at home. He has a 4.28 ERA at home, 3.5 overall, which means he's much better on the road. Zach Wheeler, the ace for the Phillies, been around the game for a long time. He has a 3.21 ERA on the road, 2.23 overall. He's way better at home, but he is very much respected by the Phillies. They want to score runs for him, and they know he is a guy who can pitch deep into games and without getting rattled. Like if he does give up a run or two, he can still keep going and be fine. As long as he can correct himself is really what I'm trying to say. A lot of pitchers can't. Like last night, I was watching the Oilers in the Rays game, and Pepe was on the mound for the Rays, and he was giving up home runs, but he was still being composed, and he was able to go deep into that game because he was making mistakes, but it wasn't to the point where, hey, we got to get this guy out of here because he would give up a long ball or maybe a hit into the outfield, but then he would get out of a jam. He gave up, I think, 4 or 5 runs over 7. Excuse me. I think you'll see Cutter Crawford do something similar. Hopefully, if you bet on the Phillies, which I would do -1, Phillies -1. If you're gonna bet the Phillies, hopefully that they can get him out of there soon. On the road, Philly is 27-10, and at home, Boston is 14-18. They're not great at home at all. Um, both pitchers are righties. Phillies are the best in the league against right-handed pitchers. Um, Boston's above 500, but it's not great. I think you're going to see a lot of balls hit the left field tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of them hit the left field. And the wind's blowing to the left, which is, I guess, decent for us if we're thinking about like home run potential. Because if it's blowing to the left and you hit it right, then it'll just fly over the green wall. And Philly has a lot of power, so that's not a bad thing that it's blowing to the left because they like right-handed pitchers and they can pull the ball to that side. And if the wind's carrying it, then you'll see a lot of balls that might die at that wall because the green monster is so big. You might see some balls that might normally die at that wall might fly over tonight. So if you got Philly -1, that might be an encouraging sign to see the wind blowing that way. Looking down here, Philly and Boston. All the money again is on Boston. I'm sorry, Philly. 85% of the best placed on Philly and almost 100% of the money on the money line. That's probably money line parlays. Me personally, I would do a money line parlay, probably Philly, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. That's probably where I'm. That's probably where I'm going to end up. Um, but you can also do Philly -2, or I'm sorry, -1. I think Philly -1 is a good bet as well. I don't like betting on the home team on a -1 game because if they're up by 1 run going into the ninth, game's over and they don't have to score another run. And you automatically lose a bet. At least with the home team, they have to play those 9 innings. You give yourself 3 more outs at the very least. Um, that's just how I always play. I just don't like taking the -1 or -1.5 with the home team, but with Philly being on the road, I'll definitely take it. Let's see here. That's almost it. Got Pittsburgh. And I guess the last game we'll look at, the last game, because two of my favorite teams, New York, Kansas City. Excuse me. Just saw New York lose 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers at home, and they also were without Aaron Judge last night, and they lost Juan Soto for a while. So they will have Aaron Judge back tonight. He was out for I think they said rest purposes. So tonight we got Stroman on the mound for the Yankees. He is a ground ball pitcher. He's gonna try to get a lot of ground balls, but he gives up home runs. Kansas City, they just lost last night. They've been losing consistently. They were one of the hottest teams in baseball to start, and they just lost with Seth Lugo on the mound, their starter, which is crazy against Carlos Rendon. Me personally, I think that the Yankees will end up winning a close game, but I think a lot of people are on Kansas City because of what they did earlier in the year. And I think that the problem with that is that the regression in baseball is fickle and it doesn't lend itself to like any type of predictability. It kind of just happens. So a pitcher will be pitching great for weeks and months, and then have 3 or 4 bad outings in a row, and you don't really know why or what's going on. A lot of it has to do with their command issues. A lot of it's the same with like a batter, like superstition stuff like that. Now we have Stroman again on the mound. I don't think that this is a situation where uh, he'll be in trouble a lot because, like I said, the Kansas City Royals haven't been hitting well lately, but they are a great team. So it's like Bobby Wood Jr.'s, Sandoval, Pasquiano. Like they have a really good roster. And I don't know, they're just not putting it together right now. A lot of times I'm watching the games and stuff, and they go down early. I'm not sure why. They are 24-12 at home. The Yankees have a better away record than they have home record. And I think the public's conception is that these two teams are similar or like on the same level, but they're not. They're not. And I do think that even though Marcus Stroman does struggle keeping the ball in the park, he has a 1.82 ERA. On the road, I think the Yankees will continue to dominate the series, and our boy Brady Singer might find a little trouble against the lineup. Mm, I think Marcus Stroman's style of play is going to fit well and play right into the aggressive hitting nature of the Royals. But also, if he's not careful, they can take him yard. They can definitely do that. Winds blowing 8 miles an hour out. That doesn't really matter a lot of times because last night in the Astros game, they had wind blowing out at 15, 16 miles an hour, and nothing happened. It was like only 7 runs, and they scored all of that in extra innings, which is crazy. So sometimes when gust and all that doesn't matter. Let's take a quick look at the money real quick, and this will probably be it for us. We have almost 20% or 17% of the bets placed on Kansas City, and a whopping 7% of the money came in on Kansas City. So that lets you know right there that, again, a lot of the money, a lot of the bets are being placed on New York. That's sharp and public money. Uh, so to me, I guess the safe play would be a New York money line, and that would be the play today. Maybe even a -2. Just kind of randomly looking down here. I like Jordan Hicks a lot. You see this money spread is split 50-50 here. Uh, you know, I don't really like any other games tonight. I always like the Brewers. Brewers are a very profitable team, but they can't win every game. Um, Carlos Rodriguez is making his first start, and I believe Kikuchi is starting for the Jays. Kikuchi is terrible, but also it's kind of hard backing a guy in his first start. Um, so Milwaukee will probably win. They won yesterday, but that's a game you want to stay away from. All right, well that'll do it. Those are my favorite plays for today. Hope you guys learned a lot from the first installment of Slate Series. ParlayPridge signing off. Get a chance, go check out the YouTube ParlayPridge. Go check out the TikTok ParlayPridge and the SoBet. I know a lot of people maybe not be familiar with SoBet, but SoBet is a betting channel platform that will allow you to uh, gain the knowledge of, well, at the moment, 65 to, I think it was 65, 70 in between their professional bettors, online bettors. They gamble, they bet on horses, any sport you can think of. These guys cover it. There's no reason why you shouldn't open the SoBet app and make money in the morning. Like literally every day, you wake up in the morning, see who is doing what plays, put some money down, and you're gonna win money. Even if you just blindly tell and you just don't do anything but just take their plays, take my plays, you're gonna win money. So that's SoBet. Type in the referral code ParlayPridge, and I also will have I will have the link to sign up for SoBet directly in this video, and then you guys will be able to take a look at that. Go in there and win you some money. Let them know I sent you. See you, baby.